Good. Hello. Welcome to this session of Allies Indie Author Fringe. I'm David Penny, and here with me today is Joseph Alexander, probably the most successful non-fiction author you've never heard of, unless that is you played the guitar. Hi, Joseph.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm a bit stressed with getting all of this stuff finished for
Yeah, there's a lot going
within
on.
24 hours, but other than that, no, it's pretty good. Okay, let's start out. Can you tell me a little bit about your background? Have you always been a guitar player?
Yeah, pretty much actually. Randomly, I met Brian May
Oh,
the day before yesterday at the London Book Fair. I was just minding my own business, and there he was, and he was essentially the reason that I picked up the guitar. I saw Live
right.
Aid. I think it was a re-showing of it a few years later. I was about six, and I saw that show and I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. So it was this strange sort of serendipitous moment where I'm at the London Book Fair. Amazon have invited me down there to talk about me writing books about how to play guitar, and then suddenly there's the guy that started it all, sort of minding my own business, minding his own business. So I had about 5 minutes with him, and he's
Well,
absolutely lovely.
yeah,
So yeah, no, I've always known. I started lessons when I was about 7 or 8 years old, I think.
yeah.
Moved to electric guitars about 13,
Hmm.
London College of Music at 18. So I went from Cheshire right to
Hmm.
the middle of London, which was in Ealing, which was a bit scary.
Bit of a shock,
Few
yeah.
years there, and then went to Leeds College of Music and did a degree in jazz. I'd been teaching all that time since I was about
Oh,
16. So I finished that. I've traveled, lived in Thailand. I've worked as a scuba diving instructor out there for a few years. I was working on cruise ships as a scuba diving instructor where I met my girlfriend, who's Canadian. And at the moment, 7 years later, I'm back living in Cheshire, writing and running fundamental changes with all these guitar books. So yeah, there's a lot of long stories there, but essentially always been playing the guitar, always teaching, and always loved to sort of share what I do. And that the first book, I guess, grew out of the lessons that I was teaching. I was getting a
mm,
lot of people approaching me with the similar sort of questions, particularly about jazz. It's a bit of a minefield there. So I started, yeah, just about save
yeah.
myself time
Mm,
and then questions. I kind of started writing this kind of guide to playing over. It's called a 2-5-1. It's a chord sequence in jazz,
mm,
and so I could give that to my students. And somebody said, "Well, you should publish this." And keeping that long story short, the rest is kind of history. I ended up on CreateSpace, KDP,
mm.
and that was 4.5 years ago now.
Uh,
I think my girlfriend Amanda, she works in marketing, and okay, how many books have I done now? And apparently I've written 34, and we've
34.
published I think 15 or 16 by other authors as well,
Mm,
using
mm,
Amazon's facilities.
mm. Fantastic, fantastic. Fiction writers, I always think, have it much easier than non-fiction writers. We're only dealing with words, but your manuals are full of techniques and chord charts and scales and whatever. When you started out, did you find that tough? Were there issues with transferring that to print or not?
You know what? It's funny. We always think everybody's got it. It's the other way around. I could never imagine myself writing, like, inventing a character and a backstory and a universe and all these amazing creative literary things. For me, I find actually writing guitar books really easy because all I do is I imagine the student sitting in front of me. And talking to them, and some as I guess you have books based on real events, but some I've been asked questions in the past by students that have really got me thinking
Mm,
about something, and that's become a book because
mm,
when I don't know how many thousands of students I've taught, but if you see the same thing coming up or you know what the challenges are, essentially I just write down what I would be showing to a student anyway. So now I'm not trying to sound vain. I just find it actually quite straightforward.
right.
And again, it just comes down to imagining that student in front of me.
Yeah. And the interactivity, do you think because there must
Yeah,
be different levels of students you've got to think about in a way.
yeah. The other side of that though is that it's given me a lot of the opportunity to write a lot of books. I can write a jazz book for beginners, I can for intermediate or advanced players. So I can pick my student very carefully. So is that student interested in playing blues rhythm guitar? Are they interested in playing blues lead guitar or fingerstyle, like Robert Johnson type stuff? So I can target it like that. Yes, there are occasional problems because one-on-one, we can go off on quite a nice tangent, a big digression, if they ask a question, and it's a very organic way. Suddenly they get interested in something and we can focus on that. Whereas in the book, I have to preempt the problems, which I hope I'd sort of do an okay job of doing, because it's a linear process, isn't it? A book, and most of my books have got 150 notated examples in, because I do very sort of incremental steps. I feel it's better to start maybe a little bit too simple. So if somebody's better, they might want to skip the first chapter of a book, but they can always find that level and jump onto the curve anywhere that suits them, and hopefully they'll be learning something from it. So if I've managed to solve that problem, it's by doing like 150 baby steps instead of one kind of conceptual thing and here's a piece of music.
Yeah, I suppose you've got to take account of the fact that if you're doing a live lesson, you can almost immediately see the level of the student that you're teaching, whereas in the books you don't have that interactivity.
Yeah, exactly, and especially for a beginner, where if I'm teaching one-on-one, I might actually be physically adjusting their posture or their hand position on the guitar or anything. I can't do that. We can do videos and things, but there's nothing quite like that. So I don't think it will ever quite replace a teacher, and I hope not, because that kind of oral tradition of passing on music, and it's a bit more organic, but I try and pack so much into the books that they can take them along to the teacher. If they can already play a bit, they can get into it by themselves. Yeah,
and I see you also provide sort of backup material in terms of YouTube videos and so on, which is quite good.
Yeah, we do. I mean, there's a few sides to that. We provide a big thing from day one. In fact, the reason I didn't get the book deal traditionally, thank God, was because I record all the audio examples. So when I sent it off to a nameless, shall we say, publisher in the day, they said, well, this is great and we love it, thank you, but the amount of stuff you're including is 3 DVDs worth. And we can't make a margin on that. It's too expensive. And, well, okay, so obviously 21st century, set up a website, and I put the MP3s on there. And it took me a while to figure it out, but after, I think it's about 8 months or something, we put a little MailChimp sign-up form. So if you wanted to get the audio, you had to sign up. And that's how we developed the mailing list. Yeah. So that's actually a free way of doing it for us. So top tip, if you're doing non-fiction, if you can provide something that's absolutely tangible, it's not enough to kind of give away just a little bit of bump to try and get an email, but something that's integral to the book, and make that something you're offering with integrity to help and enhance the book, and swap that for an email address. We've got 27,500 people now, whereas, people pay a lot of money to build a list like that with advertising. That's been free.
So that's just grown organically, is the
that's organic. Yeah, we moved over to ActiveCampaign at around 18,000 people, and all the email marketing is pretty much automated now. So we know if you've bought a blues book, we know if you've bought jazz, rock, beginner, or like a general musicianship type thing, and we've got a different sequence for all of those. So once you've signed up, if you've signed up for the blues list, that's 26 weeks long, and we send you, like you're saying, YouTube videos, free lessons, and mix in with that adverts for blues books, because I'm not going to start sending jazz adverts to the guy that's bought like our really heavy death metal book because they're not interested. So it is automated. To a large degree, we manually send out one thing per week to the people that aren't in those automations or have finished them. So yeah, I mean that's a whole big thing, getting into email automation.
I bet. So how many stacks of automated emails do you have on some of these strands?
Well, it's 26 weeks long for the blues. Each, what we do, and I think like at the moment we're probably over emailing, but people are opening them, we're getting good engagement rates. But a stack would be a lesson Friday, a lesson Saturday, and probably an advert on a Sunday. So, and like the engagement's good. My feeling is it's maybe a little intrusive, but I think because we're at least offering 66% content, there's benefit, and that's why people are opening them. And we get really good engagement on Amazon. Don't want to go on a massive tangent about this, which I will do all the time. But the thing is that we have a huge advantage because we've got so many books. But whereas, say, a fiction author with one book will send out a mail shot promoting that book, and they're done. So they might get that spike, which is brilliant. But because if you signed up with our mailing list and you started 1 week before the next guy, you get the content 1 week before that guy.
Yeah.
So instead of sending like a massive spike of traffic to one book, we send a slow and steady stream of traffic to Amazon for all our books. So they all rank really highly, just because we're able to send kind of people organically to them. And it's just this sort of gradual trickle, and because I guess guitar's not as competitive as erotic fiction or whatever it happens to be, like a small number of sales will move us quite high. And then all our branding matches, and hopefully the books are quite good, fingers crossed. We've got books with 250 reviews on for guitar, and we're competitively priced and things. So I said this at Amazon the other day, but our front covers are like our business card, really. You see that, and you'll see one, you recognize the other, and if you've had a good experience and you're shopping again, we get a lot of repeat business from that.
Do you try to make those covers stand out from other guitar tutorial books, or is it just what you develop?
It was never a deliberate intention to stand out, but the covers came, the covers came about because I'm terrible at Photoshop. And like when I first started, I wrote that first book, I tried to make this cover, and I've got it somewhere, and I need to dig it out so I can show people, but it was awful. Like it had a title and a guitar on it, but I was doing awful things. So realized, I think it was about 8 books in before I realized I could sort of move to Thailand and do what we were doing. And at that time, we were starting to make a bit of money, so I was reinvesting that into the business as fast as I could, and we got a website done professionally by a company in the UK called Twizzlebird. I'm not going to plug many people, but they have been fantastic. And what I asked them to do was to build a template for me in Photoshop that tied in with the branding on the website, because they've got all the colors, they've got the fonts, and they've got the way they do that. If people want to check it out at home, it's fundamental-changes.com. So fundamental, then a hyphen, then changes.com. And so I think they charged me something really nominal. It's about £200, but they gave me this Photoshop template, and essentially you end up with that. This isn't what I wrote, this is one of Simon's books. So you've got guitar, you've got title, you've got some content there, and the name. That's pretty much it. And on the back, faded guitar, blurb, selling points. So that's one. This is one that I wrote just before Christmas, but and it gave me this really simple method of switching the guitar for like a genre appropriate guitar, changing the text, changing the colors, of those blocks. Actually, they're both red, so it's not great, but obviously those blocks are red or green or blue. I've not got any others lying around that I can see.
Do you brand the colors for different genres, or?
Apparently I should be doing just like, that's a blues book, that's that. But no, I kind of actually, I sort of do it based on, the guitar on the front cover. I sort of try and fill that in and go, right, that needs to be a Gibson Les Paul or whatever, and it's this beautiful Sunburst. So I'm going to go for that over forcing forcing an agenda, if you like, in terms of colouring. It just seems a bit more of a natural way to do things. So yeah, I could do, but and they did. They were like, right, all your blue stuff's like blue and acoustic stuff's green or whatever. And I'm like, cool, I'm just going to ignore that. So anyway, they gave me this thing, and because I was writing a lot of books, because I had a Photoshop template, and I was terrible at creating things in Photoshop, but I know enough to switch out a guitar. Suddenly all my books were branded, and I republished everything with new covers. I've got my little Fundamental Changes logo up there, which is trademarked now, which is kind of cool.
Oh, great.
So I've got that, and by accident, complete accident, and my own ineptitude at design, suddenly everything is branded. So and I think people would pay a lot for that. I'm just going to go into a screen share for a second. So I want to show you the top guitar books on Amazon right now. I'm just going to start that. How are we looking? Tell me when that's coming through.
Good question.
Is it?
Yes, I've got it now. I've got you on one screen and that on the other, so I'm assuming it's coming through.
Okay. Well, hopefully people can see this. If you just sort of go search for Joseph Alexander on guitar and then go to the Kindle bestsellers, you'll see it. So these books up here, these are kind of lead generation books. They're sort of cheaper. Again, audio downloads are included as a part of that, so they help us get things onto our list. But you can see at the moment we've got these three, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and then sort of going on to that. It's actually normally a few more than that. Here, that's one of mine. These two, this, this.
Oh, you're making me sick, Joseph.
Well, I think it's just not that competitive, to be honest. I probably shouldn't be telling people this. And let's just try.
It's, to be honest, as a guitar player myself, who's absolutely rubbish, I just go into a guitar shop and I will buy a book like that. And I haven't bought one for probably 6 or 7 years, so it's a completely different world now. So yeah, I think most guitarists, you know what guitarists are like. They like to go into guitar shops and play Stairway to Heaven on a stack, and then go and buy a book in thanks for letting us do it. But
well, I mean, we are in guitar shops in the UK, and I'll maybe talk about that in a second in terms of distribution, because I'm lucky and it's different for me and it's been easier. But I just searched for blues guitar on Amazon, and that's, you can, well, I didn't know it was the top 4 books plus my series, and this is just how Amazon have started marketing these. But if you search for blues guitar, you're going to see something that I've written. There's another one, and that was a little lead generation.
It's interesting because what you said about the sort of branding, they do stand out from all the other stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing, and I think you know that it looks legit, and even if it's a new book, you'll see books that are kind of look similar and have got like 250 reviews or whatever. And so when I start releasing that, it's just brand awareness. And when you tie that together, I should have pulled this up, but when you tie that together with people who bought this book also bought, with that big long line underneath, you know, of products underneath your own book, and then also the AMS stuff as well. Like, I'm everywhere. Now, this would probably go horribly wrong because we're live, but if I was to pick this book, it's probably not as good as it used to be. But right, you can see, oh no, we're not screen sharing, are we? Of course. Wait, I'll go back into screen sharing. So I just picked one of my books at random. It looks like it might be a good one. So I like the live feel of doing this. This is great. Oh, I think we're screen sharing there. Yeah. So now you've got the customers who bought this item also bought, and Amazon's beautifully crashed for whatever reason, but there's all my other books. You can see bestseller and all this kind of thing. 2 bestsellers, in fact, which is great. But then here's the AMS stuff underneath. And here are my books again. So even if you look at my book and you don't get it, there's a good chance you're going to start clicking a different one. as well.
That's an interesting concept, actually. So presumably you target yourself in your Amazon ads.
No, not at
Oh,
all.
right, right,
Everything is set to auto. We're very
right.
lucky.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, I know we're sort of
Ah,
talking about this before, and I work with Readsy and I do
mm,
consultations for
mm,
people, and
mm,
the as a fiction author, and we're working with fiction authors, and we are getting some success with AMS,
mm,
but it's very difficult because of the keywords thing. Now,
mm,
I write the most boringly titled books in the world, like the Blues Guitar one, like Rhythm
mm,
Guitar, Complete
mm,
Guide to Playing Blues Guitar Rhythm, Complete Guide to Playing Blues Guitar, Melodic Phrasing, Blues Guitar,
mm.
Circular Fifths for the guitar, Complete Technique for guitar,
Yeah.
Fretboard Fluency for guitar. All my books are very SEO
Yeah.
titled,
Mm.
and that's in the title, it's in the subtitle, it's in the product description, and of course organically, it's a natural thing to talk about the content of a non-fiction book.
Mm.
So while we're by no means deliberately keyword stuffing, the AMS stuff is the AMS stuff ties in really well with that, so we can leave it on auto. But I think unfortunately that is very different from someone
Yeah.
who's going to do a fiction book.
Yeah. Yeah. I must admit, I found with Amazon ads, if I leave it on auto, I will get maybe twice as much in income as I'm spending. Whereas if I go and tweak them carefully, I'll get 5 times as much in income as I'm
Right.
spending.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
we have that if we find something that's not working very well, we will go to manual,
yeah.
and we're doing
Yeah.
that more. We've got ads on auto which are ticking
Mm,
away,
mm.
and we've got some manual ads. Would you like to see that? I know I've got
Yeah.
my
Well, yeah,
AMS.
if you don't mind.
No, it's all good. I'm happy to share this stuff.
Except I keep appearing on your screen every time you do this.
Oh, I'm sorry. uh, right. So here's my AMS. Can you see that?
I
Do you want
can,
me to
yeah,
make that a
yeah,
bit big?
yeah,
I
yeah,
can just zoom in a bit. So, I mean, the
yeah.
best ad that we've got, we started running these, you can see just
Mhm,
before
mhm.
Christmas, end of November.
Wow,
So
wow.
13%
Mm,
cost of sale.
mm.
We spent $200 and we've pulled back 1,500.
Fantastic.
Now, everyone's just, oh, that's amazing. Which, I mean, it's great. We're not complaining. But once, obviously, Amazon have taken their their 30%,
Yeah, yeah.
and you take off the cost per click, and also our book's a little bit bigger as well because we've got a lot of notation in, so we might have a download fee
Hmm.
on those as well. So, but I mean, it's still going to work out that that's a profit of around
Mm,
£700,
mm,
$700 on
mm,
that.
mm,
So you can see around we're getting cost per click about 18 cents.
yeah.
That's pretty universal as you sort of go down there, goes down. I think we had some under 10 there. Yeah, there we go.
Wow.
And they're pretty much all on auto. We start the daily
Oh.
budget on $5.
Hmm.
I was saying before the interview that it's hard to get to spend that money,
Mm,
and $5 is fine. You can see, I mean, this has been running since November, so that's what 4 months now, 4 and a bit months. We've only managed to spend $200, which is
yeah.
frustrating. Um,
Yeah, I bet there's some people who've done Facebook ads that wish they could get away with that.
well, yeah, no, well, yeah, it's a high quality problem, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So they're all on that. But if we look at the ones that we've done recently,
Hmm.
these top three certainly, and you can see we kill something like here we're looking at,
Wow.
and I think we killed after
Yeah,
about 3
yeah,
days, and
yeah,
it's just
exactly.
not working. So you kill it,
Mm,
and you,
mm,
you try and put that money somewhere else.
mm,
Amanda, who's my girlfriend and also business partner, she does all the marketing really now. She set these up, well, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago,
mm.
and they're doing great. But these are all on manual.
Yeah, right, right.
So we are trying different things.
Yeah, I think you have to experiment and see what works and what doesn't, and then
Yeah,
learn from that.
yeah. I have no idea what keywords we're using for that though. Let's have a quick look. I mean, Amanda knows. But you can see there,
Yeah.
we do go up to 30 cents per click. I think that's
Wow.
a lot
That's
of
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
People are sort of bidding low on, certainly for fiction, on quite important keywords, and I think actually I'd say go high, because certainly go higher than 25 cents, because the people that leave that bid on 25 cents when it comes up, you're instantly going to outbid them.
And I can see even then your average cost per click, even on the top one, is only 20 pence per click.
Yeah, down here.
So you're not spending more than 25p per click or 25 cents per click, but you're targeting.
Yeah, that seems, like when I'm on Facebook groups, and I sort of try and put my head in and help out when I can. But I don't want to spend a lot of money on my cost per clicks. Well, that's a bid. That's not necessarily what you're going to spend. Yeah. People just put it really low. Like, no, I whack it up and then see if it's going to be stupid expensive and it's not converting. That's a different issue. But you've got to find out where those clicks are. What you're going to have to pay for that. Yeah,
there's a mindset to advertising, isn't there? Lots of people say, I'd love to advertise, but I can't afford it. But case in point of somebody like yourself, you're earning 10 times what you're spending on the advertising, so it's a no-brainer, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I keep meaning to do this, but I want to put all my adverts on like an Air Miles credit card, I think. Because
that's a great idea.
Yeah, I know. I know it doesn't work in the UK, but guys out there who are in the US, then like American Amex do. They'll give you a bonus if you're spending on actual advertising.
Do they?
Yeah. That's worth checking out. It's not.
Yeah. I'll have to put mine on my Tesco credit card. I'll get Tesco points on there.
There you go. So it's. I mean, we obviously we do this through the company, and we can have a company Amex card. But I keep meaning to get that. But anyway, big digression. But I think
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm going to go and change mine now.
Don't be afraid to put that cost per click bit out, because don't forget it's an auction. And there's going to be a load of people in your genre who aren't going to be changing. 25 cents, right? We'll leave it for that. I don't want to spend any more than that. But you can see, we put guitar in, and that's only costing 17 cents.
Yeah,
that's on Amazon. I mean, like we don't get conversions like that on Facebook. Really targeted. I don't know sort of what you get, but I mean,
no, I'm paying between. About 22 pence to 44 pence per click on Facebook.
Right.
Which is a lot more, but a lot more people are using Facebook, I think. Amazon Ads is in its infancy at the moment.
Yeah, I was actually talking to a marketing guy about this. He says, you know what, when things are in their infancy, it's cheap. Throw as much money at it as you can right now, because when more people start doing it, then the price will go up. So make hay while you can, I guess. Yeah,
it's the same with everything, and then we're all looking for the next holy grail, aren't we?
Yeah, that's it.
So you mentioned you do some Facebook ads, but I know it's not your favourite, is it, Joseph?
It's just like we've been doing it. We've had some success for it with sort of lead generation, and it's not sort of being afraid of spending money on it or anything like that, because essentially if we can run at cost, then we're happy, because essentially we're sending people to our product that wouldn't necessarily have bought it. Every sale, particularly in a volatile sort of market like guitar books, and not volatile, but maybe not as competitive would be a better way to say it. A few sales makes a huge difference.
Do you find that being so high up on the sales rankings is sort of snowballs in terms of you get more sales because you're the first thing that people see when they go in?
I think it must do. I couldn't see why it wouldn't. If you search for guitar book and you see mine and it's got 250 reviews, and absolutely, and it all goes back to that mailing list. Right now, for people starting out, I think it's harder. It's tougher because you have to drive that traffic in a way that Amazon starts to notice you, that algorithm starts to notice you, they pick up, and it's not. I don't think it's enough to get like a single spike now, because there's one algorithm that specifically ignores a big spike on a launch day.
Damn.
Yeah. And it is frustrating, and it's not that it ignores a spike. And if you sell, your 500 or 1,000 books in the space of 4 hours, you're going to be number one for a bit, probably. But that's the sort of 4-hour chart or the hourly chart or whatever that is. But in terms of the monthly chart, and they're talking sort of more long term. From what I've been reading, and nobody really knows what Amazon
I
does.
know.
The
Even Amazon.
Even Amazon, well, yes. Actually, no, I won't say that. I was having dinner with some of the guys, like regional directors of Europe and things like that. And obviously I can't say anything, but they do have an awareness.
I think they're very clever. Yeah.
In terms of algorithms, I think that's down to the guys in the sort of computer rooms. But no, they're really switched on guy. Lovely bloke, like really lovely.
I get a lot of people I talk to are quite denigrate Amazon. It's like everybody used to hate Microsoft, and it's because they are the big player in the area. And I've always found them really good, really easy to deal with, very helpful if you've got a problem. So I'm just a big fan of Amazon, I must admit.
Yeah, I mean they sort of they take risks. They did Kindle, and they gave the opportunity to publishers, and there are certainly plus sides and minus sides to Amazon's business practices, and there's that with any dominant force. But essentially, I think you've got to look at that and say, well, they deserved it, because they've disrupted an industry, like the biggest industry, like selling everything.
Indeed. Yeah.
And they do what they do really, really well. And I was at Amazon Author Academy speaking again with Mark and some other people there, and Mark Dawson, I should say. And I was surprised when Darren, who's the sort of UK manager of Kindle, essentially opened up the floor. There was this sort of flurry of questions. Why can't I do this? What's wrong with this? What's going on? Why is this? And I stepped in, but somebody asked me a question like that. I was like, the thing that you've got to understand is the opportunity that you have here is massive. And you're coming to sort of London to come and yell, they've got great support. You can always email them. They're sort of, you always get an answer. I mean, I've been there myself. I still get the templated KDP response, but actually, if you pursue it, it's like, that's not what I asked, man. But if you pursue it, you'll get to someone, and they will sort of refer it up eventually. But this, I find myself digressing, but with Amazon, the opportunity to bypass the traditional publishing industry is insane. To be able to take that much of a royalty home from what we do is insane. Now, the problem is anyone can stick a book on Amazon, and there are a lot of great books out there on Amazon. So how do you get seen? And people, I don't want to spend money on advertising. To which I would say, my stock response is, well, what do you think your publisher does? Okay, you don't want to give any money to a publisher. That's fine. And you're going to do your own book cover. You understand that. But at some point, hopefully, if your publisher's any good, they're going to be marketing your book. And that's not free. Yes, they've got friends in the industry, but, you see a poster for a book at, for me, Manchester, Piccadilly train station, or on TV, or wherever it happens to be. And they're sort of doing the old school, expensive advertising. People won't want, if you've got faith in your product, then at some point you're going to need to spend a little bit of money to get that ball rolling. Going back to your original question, getting Amazon to notice you, get that spike, get that snowball, people will find you. But at that point, your product's got to be excellent. Your book's got to be excellent.
It's a process, isn't it? You start out and you sort of sales rank 5 million or something. Been there, done that, and then you make a couple of sales and it picks up and people start to notice you. But I found my sea change was when I did Mark Dawson's course and started to advertise, and it's just totally revolutionised my writing business. It's fantastic. But,
and it's excellent.
One of the things I noticed as I logged on and looked at you on Amazon and elsewhere, you sell, I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, Joseph, but you sell on your website, you sell PDF downloads of your books, and you also sell them on Kindle and Amazon Print, but nowhere else. Is that right?
We're on iBooks.
Are you on them? Oh, right, okay. Just no links from your website, you see. Yeah,
I think we pulled the links to iBooks. I mean, to be honest with you, if we're doing like 99.9% Amazon. And if you want a single piece of advice, you focus on Amazon to start off with, because they've got the market, and everything else would be secondary to that. The PDFs, I don't use Select in the same way that a lot of authors do.
Right.
And I don't know if this is good advice for a fiction author. However, I make more money on paperbacks. And I think it's to do with music. I want a book on my music stand. I don't want to be learning like cool rock guitar riffs off my Kindle. That sort of just seems a bit wrong to me. And I don't know if that's something for everyone. And we sell a lot of Kindle books, don't get me wrong, but it is about 50-50, which I think is unusual from what I gather in terms of fiction authors. So when it comes to Select, and we're playing with this, I took a few books off iBooks, and I put them in Select, and they're consistently ranking higher because of the page reads. But when I sell, because we've got 250, I think, guitar lessons on our website, and we've got a mailing list of approaching 30,000 people, we can drive people to the website, and not everybody, A, likes Amazon, B, has a Kindle or a Kindle reader, or they don't necessarily know that they can see Kindle on screen. PDFs is quite a good option for them because they can buy it and print it should they want to. We, as a percentage, I'm not very good at maths, but it's probably about maybe 3 or 4% of our income comes from PDF. But I price them slightly under the cost of a paperback, because I think that's what it is essentially. And we sell a few, and it does mean that we can't put books in Select, but I think it makes up for it. I'm not sure. We're still playing, like that's the thing. Like, I hate it when people go like, I'm the guru. Like, it's like, no, man. We're experimenting.
It's all a learning process, isn't it? It's
we certainly make more money. Like we get to keep, after fees and everything, on a $16, $15 ebook, we get to keep 89% of that, I think, and that's after FastSpring we host with, and then money transfer fees from the US. So we do that, but when we use Select, it's for lead generation. Right. So my cheaper books, and then people talk about permafree, but for lead generation, these books I showed you at the top, about $3. I mean, I don't like, people are probably like swearing through the computer at me. Yeah, my lead generation book's like $4. Sorry. Because it sells there, and we've experimented with pricing. That's what we found is working. And I think certainly in nonfiction, if you go too cheap, people don't value it. And I'm conscious of this race to the bottom where people make everything free, and it's not good for anybody. It's not good for the industry.
There's a price expectation, isn't there? And you have to be not too far away from that expectation.
And my cheaper books are not, my less expensive books are not as, they're not that much shorter or less detailed than my full price books. They're good value, and you get the audio, so we get the email address, and that's why I think we're getting about 50-60 sign-ups a day at the moment, which is kind of cool. Certainly over Christmas it was ridiculous. And we're getting paid to get those sign-ups. So we use Select, Kindle Unlimited, whatever you want to call it, for that, and I use it to thank people. People listen to our stuff, and they've bought my book, and what it comes down to, I'm still shocked that I'm this successful. I'm not the greatest guitar player in the world by any means. Apparently I'm quite good at explaining how to do it though. But it's, I don't know, it's I'm not trying to be falsely humble, but I'm genuinely touched if I get an email or a great review, or even a bad, review, like a bad review. Somebody's taken the time, they've interacted. I think I've sold, again, Amanda says, I think I keep saying 200,000. Amanda says it's probably closer to 300,000 books now, and that's 300,000 people that have trusted me with like their music. And for me, like, music's the precious thing, right? I want to do a good job of that. I'm not trying to put crap out there to sell, to sell books. I'm genuinely trying to make a difference and have integrity. So when they're on my mailing list, I'm very grateful to them. So I'll use Select and I'll say, here's our free book. Like, here's this book for free. Like, just have it. And I will do that on Black Friday. And I'll do that around Christmas when the whole world is just going, buy, 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 buy. Like, I hate that. I hate that thing. You know, it's just disingenuous, isn't it?
You said Christmas was good for you. Is that because people buy guitars for people for Christmas?
Yeah,
or
I think
buy
so.
guitar
Yeah,
books?
like, you know, like at the end of the day, I'm running a business. This first 100 chords for guitar, it's kind of a cool book. It's a book I wish I'd had when I was starting out. It was very much designed at beginners. It was designed at electric guitar and acoustic guitar, as you saw by the front cover, and it was purely, loads of people buy guitar, and that guitars at Christmas, get lessons and things. And I wanted to do something that would just be sort of a no-brainer impulse purchase, and it's priced cheap. I think the paperback's about, I don't know, $12.99 and things. So it's like a stocking filler kind of a present, I think. And yeah, that's done really well. But again, that drives sales. So last December was the biggest month we'd ever had, and it was over £50,000 in turnover that month. So
no jealousy at all here.
Well, I'm not saying it to do
No,
that.
I know. That's brilliant. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's I only say that to let people know the possibilities that you can do, and I think the branding is really important, even though it's accidental. I was quoted, KDP, their Facebook page quoted me as a cool thing on Facebook, saying like, my book's my business card. So because they're everywhere, and things, again, we're talking about this before we started. I don't know how long we've got left, but
we're fine.
Good. That I've never promoted me. And I think that's a mistake that I see, even like people who are offering online guitar lessons. It's like Joe Blogs Guitar. Yeah. It's like, well, I'm not interested in joeblogsguitar.com. I want to learn guitar, you know, and if you're going to convert that into a keyword phrase, you know, my website, even back in, you know, I was teaching a lot. My website was Guitar Lessons Cheshire. You know, it wasn't Joseph Alexander Guitar. And so it's got a business point to help people find what they're looking for, but nobody knows who the hell I am, which is great. And it's funny sitting up there with Mark Dawson and Rachel and Louise and those like extremely successful fiction authors, and everyone's like, who's that guy at the end mumbling and not really, you know, making a point?
I don't think so. I've seen you speak.
It's sort of and that's fine, and actually that's been the point. Like, this was a big thing for me. Like, we started putting like my face on these books, and I was really resistant. But it's kind of nice because I think then you get a bit of a connection with the person you're doing. But yeah, it wasn't like, I'm not interested in that. So the point being, if we can get that, is that market your brand. You know, don't necessarily market yourself. And I no offense to anyone that's listening, but unless you're Stephen King, then, you know, there's a good chance that people aren't going to buy your book because of your name until you're big. As I was doing a Readsy consultation with a guy in America, and he's producing some great books, but they all kind of look different. And so, and he's writing under a pseudonym. So our first thing was like, get that branding together. So if they've liked that book, get the next one. And it actually makes it easier because as with music, if you're suddenly given a load of restrictions and you're told to limit the amount of stuff that you're using, you're suddenly forced to get creative. So you get creative with this brand. It makes it easier to brand, but build a brand. Don't build your own sort of, you know, yourself, your own ego, if you like, or whatever.
But I think you are part of the brand. One of my pet peeves, and I was saying this to somebody yesterday at the Amazon thing in London, the party in the evening.
Sorry, I couldn't make that.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was just, everybody was packed in. Sardines had plenty of room in comparison to us. But one of my things is that if you have a Facebook page or a Twitter account or whatever you have, you are part of that brand, and you should have a great photograph of yourself on that branding. And the woman I was talking to said, "Oh, I have one of my father's books on there."
Right.
But I noticed
Yeah.
yesterday, wandering around, people said, "Oh, you're David Penny," and it's because my face is on my Facebook page and my Twitter and everything else,
Yeah.
so they
Yeah.
recognize you. And I always wear a white shirt, but I didn't have one on yesterday, so I don't know. I have no idea how they knew who I
Incognito.
was. Yeah. Okay, let me go on to.
Yeah.
We were talking before we started recording. In fact, we probably talked almost as long before we started recording as we have talked now. But your your business fundamental changes is something that you've set up after you've had some of this success in terms of
Yeah.
selling your stuff. And I just like what you told me about it, the fact that it's not to make more money so much as to give an outlet for other people and so on.
Mm.
Tell me a little bit about fundamental changes.
Yeah, cards on the table. There was definite a tax advantage of doing that. Um, we'll absolutely talk about other authors because that's the interesting thing. But as you start to get bigger, you do have to look at that and say, well, like I said, I told you what we did in December. Now, if I was just taking that money myself as a sole trader, self-employed person, the tax on it would be ridiculous. So I formed the limited company and I transferred all the rights of my books, which HMRC valued. We did it, capital gain. They're still investigating it despite really proving it. But let's not go there on camera. But yeah, so it's a bit of a frustration at the moment because we did everything absolutely by the book and on their recommendation. And then they said, well, actually, about a year and a half later, they went, we're not sure. So anyway, we transferred my intellectual property to the company. The company receives all royalties, and then I pay myself salary and dividends, just like a company director. And we have an accountant or a team of accountants. We use crunch.co.uk, and they've been really good. Happy to recommend them for people in the UK. So yeah, that's the sort of legal tape thing. But what that means is then the company owns the rights. I don't own the rights, and that gives a lot of protections. The publishing of the author thing does tie into that because, of course, it's better to have a contract between the company and the author rather than myself and the author. I hate all the legal BS, seeing as we're on on camera. But that's the thing. And actually, with other authors, it's because there's loads of types of music that I can't do. I was saying I love my rocky, bluesy bit of jazz, and my degree is in jazz, and I love that, and I can do it, and I can teach it, I hope. But I'm terrible at death metal, and I can't. I've never got my head around country. Even though like harmonically it's generally quite simple, I can't. I just don't have it in me to play country for some reason. So I started looking for other authors, and then Simon, who wrote this one, and he wrote a book called The Guitar Finger Gym, which I'm kicking myself. So I really wish I had written that because it's amazing and it sells loads. But yeah, so the deal was, right, I wanted to expand my brand. This was a business decision, but I wanted to do that in a way that didn't screw over musicians because I've grown up in this environment all my life, and I've got friends that are very talented, very successful people, and they get that record deal and they realize that there's no money in it unless unless you're Beyonce, and the book, and it ties in with the traditional book publishing deal. Wasn't a fiction author get like maybe 8% of a cover price?
If they're lucky, yeah.
If they're lucky. So you're handing over like 92% of stuff over there. And I thought, well, I've got the branding. I think about the time when Simon started writing for me. I've got the branding. I've got the route to market. I think the email list was 15, 20,000, something like that. I've got the recognition on Amazon and sort of the legitimacy sort of to do this. And I thought, well, if I can provide the copy editing, the proofreading, the branding, the route to market, and do that through Amazon, why don't I, instead of like ripping someone off, in my opinion, a traditional publisher company might disagree with it, but why don't I just split the profits with them 50-50? And so, most people watching this will know about, how it works out, with what Amazon take and distribution and all that thing. But it pretty much means on a paperback, I can give the author 26%, and I get 26%. Amazon takes 48% or whatever, and we're both equally invested in the product because I've been proofreading it, I've been making editorial suggestions, and if you ever speak to Simon, he'll tell you what like an absolute ass I am when it comes to proofreading. this and this and this.
Isn't it strange how it's much easier to do it for somebody else's book than it is to do it for your own, though?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I'm horrendous. I'm really, I'll get them on things that I would overlook in my own work.
Yeah.
It's very easy to be critical of other people's stuff, but we bash it into shape. And Simon's a great writer, and I think he's written 5 books for us now, and they all sell. So I get to expand the brand at zero risk. I think that would be what the traditional publishers say. Well, we're putting all this risk in, and that's fair enough. That's a tangible argument. But I'm not really taking that much risk other than my own time. I believe the book's good. I'm taking a risk to my my name, I suppose, if we put something out there that's not as good, but we don't do that. So yeah, I've been able to, I think, between 10 and 15 books, I think, by other authors that are selling great. And I'm certainly, with how we did in December, I'm able to hand over a really decent amount of money to people. And from the start, I'm saying, well, listen, you can do this yourself. I'm not saying here, I'm not a traditional publisher. I'm not going to say there's no other way to market and I can do this and I can do this. Here's what I do. Here's what I've done. If you want my sales, here they are. If you want to speak to another author that's working with me and tell you how horrible I am when it's proofreading time, that's fine. And what nightmare I am to work with. And I'll give you all of that, and I'll hook you guys up and things. So and people come into it with their eyes open. There's a contract, but the contract is pretty much like, I'll say to anyone, if there's something in here that you don't like, let's talk about it. We'll get rid of it. So a lot of that stuff's just to protect each other. And for HMRC again, show there's a real business relationship there. So that's it. I've got I use a load of freelancers, and I've got one that sort of collates all those numbers, and they get, that's another thing I do, which is I think pretty cool. We pay every 2 months. Right. So I think, was it probably once or twice a year, I think traditional guys get money. So because we get the numbers, so we can do that.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, we're coming pretty close to the end of this now. You'll be glad to hear.
Saved all day.
I know. Saved a probably not difficult question for last, really. You've given us a lot of hints and ideas of how you've done it. If you could sum up what you've done to achieve your success and how maybe other indie authors might emulate it, have you got 2 or 3 or 4 bullet points that you could say?
Oh God, I'm so bad at this.
No, well, don't bother then. Is it?
No. I need to get better. I remember the day I asked to sum up in one sentence, and I was like that for about 5 minutes.
It took me 18 months to perfect my elevator pitch, so don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. Branding. Build the brand, not yourself, or you can be the brand, but. And do that. Write a lot. Mark said it the other day that you can do all the Facebook ads and AMS and all that, but actually your best advert is another book. You've got to have integrity. You've got to love what you're doing. You've got to love that you're maybe helping people, and whether that's helping people understand archaeology or play guitar. You have to have a passion for it, so it's not work. The accountancy stuff and the business stuff is work, but the writing you should love. You build your email list, because when I release a book and I can release it to 30,000 people, or who I know have bought my books before. Or I can split my list into chunks of 3,000 and do a launch of the same book every other day. Yes. I can get continual sales. And we're just starting to do that. Anyway, digression. But so mailing list. And realize that just because you're self-published, it's not a magic formula for success. That if you were traditionally published, people would be investing in you. I'm not saying you have to go out and spend thousands, and certainly Mark Dawson's course is excellent. You have to see it as a business. You have to invest in the right thing, and if that's a few $100s on a course that's going to teach you really everything, then absolutely do that. Invest in yourself, because you'll waste more money on Facebook advertising very quickly.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even knowing what we're doing, like we'll just get. I'm sure you get the same stuff doesn't work, and you're just like, why is that not working? That worked, this doesn't. So having an idea of that before you go in and invest in yourself. Outsource. We didn't really get into this, but I outsource so many things to allow me to keep working on writing. And I still get pulled in too much because I'm a control freak. But I just had all my books, most of my books, translated into Portuguese, Spanish, and German. And I ended up with about 80 translations, I think. And yes, obviously it's a lot of money, but it cost about $12,000. Now, I used guys on Upwork, but I got 80 translations for that. The average price was probably $100 or something dollars. I don't know. That's paid for itself. Now, all I did is I went onto Upwork. I found Spanish translators and Portuguese, like translators in Brazil, Colombia, and I auditioned them because they needed to play the guitar to understand what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky. I've traveled a lot. I lived out, and I've got friends who speak Portuguese fluently. So I sent the transcriptions off, and they said this guy and this guy. So they translated one book each, and just like at school, you swap work, and they marked each other's. And suddenly I went from, I think at the time, like 25 books or whatever to 125, whatever the maths is, 100 books or whatever. And that's what they're selling. So outsource things. Don't be afraid to sort of have a Facebook guy. If you don't need one when you're starting out, but when you're starting to make some money, invest. And it's difficult chicken and egg situation. I know, again, I'm sorry, I'm not on bullet points here, but look, understand that most businesses are going to run at a loss for a while. Invest in yourself, invest in your business, and when you are if you're starting to manage to get a bit of money out, reinvest that. Have a lot of books so people find you, get your branding right. And my branding is just that. It's that format. I think that's it. Is there anything else you sort of occurs to you?
No, I could just sit here and talk to you all day long, Joseph.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's fine. It's for me, it's fascinating. I just hope to God we haven't bored the viewers too much at all. But I really enjoyed talking to you, Joseph.
Thanks, David.
Thank you very, very much indeed. That's great.
That's my pleasure. Have a good day.
And you.